All right, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Braze Life Interactive session for week 6. We have made it so far. Imagine that we are in week 6. And this week we'll be talking about climate policy and All right, so this week we'll be talking about climate policy and shaping the ecosystem. So we've gone a long way from week 1, week 2, week 3, and here we are, week 6. And let's just like a form of recap, we did climate change and your agribusiness in week 1. Week 2, we went to talk about adaptation and mitigation strategies for production, after which we did mitigation and adaptation strategy for processing and packaging, and then we did the same for distribution, logistics and distribution. And then week 5, which was last week, we talked about opportunities in climate smart agriculture adoption. And today, which is the final module, we'll be talking about climate policy and shaping the ecosystem. So before we dive into the day's work, let's quickly establish protocol just like we always do. So quick reminder, we have the language interpretation for French. So if you're speaking French, you're a French speaker, you're logging into the Zoom, the first step you need to do so as to add French for yourself is to mute as you enter, then click on the interpretation button, which is and select your preferred language, after which you will hear the translated audio and the original audio at a lower volume. To better understand the tune of the original speaker, then if you wish not to hear the original speaker, please click on the mute original audio to hear only the interpreter. But the thing, join with a computer audio, or if you're using a phone, download Zoom on your phone. If you do it on the web, you may not be able to see the feature for Zoom interpretation. Thank you so much. So quickly, for today, we have introduction about AFC, and then we have membership drive, participant sharing session. We have 2 wonderful speakers that will be talking to us about climate policy and shaping the ecosystem today, after which we'll go to unveiling of top scholars, we'll have the portal walkthrough, and then we'll have the questions and answer. So quickly, just like we always do, introduce yourself in the chat, the comment section. Let us know your name, your country, and your agribusiness. You know that this is the opportunity for you to be able to connect with other like-minded entrepreneurs across Africa. So this is an opportunity for you to connect with someone from Nigeria if you're in Rwanda, or connect with someone from Senegal if you are in Ethiopia. So it's just an opportunity to connect with people. So please tell us your name, your country, and your agribusiness in the comment section. Let us also know how you feel about today. Like really, I'm really excited about today because it's the final module, is the final live interactive session for this batch. So some of us have made it thus far. Since week 1, we've never missed any session. We've been very consistent, and really it's really a big deal to have you all join again today. And it's the final lap for those that have not. Okay, we'll be having all of that conversation later, but then just tell us how you feel. Are you excited about the fact that you've done live interactive session for module 1 to module 6, and some people have even downloaded their certificate, which is like an additional excitement for some of us. So quickly, we'll talk about African food chain makers. Like I always say, please, let's read this together, because if you have been attending the session, it means you know you're acquainted with what I'll be talking about already. So as African food chain makers, we believe that small and medium-sized enterprises are the lifeblood of the food ecosystem in Africa. These enterprises are driven by visionary, dynamic, and innovative entrepreneurs who operate as primary producers, aggregators, processors, distributors, finance and technology providers, chefs, cooks, consultants, and innovators. We call them change makers. These change makers are faced with the devastating impact of climate change, global and local risk and shocks, and macro and microeconomic challenges. These entrepreneurs need funding, training, visibility, market linkages, and a community of support to successfully scale their businesses. Through the African Food Chain Makers Hub, we enable African entrepreneurs to start and scale resilient and sustainable agribusinesses that nourish Africa and the world at large. So how do we do this? We do this by community, data and opportunities, visibility and recognition, then learnings and trainings, just like we are doing right now. So to take this a little step further, I'll call on the membership team to do the membership drive. You know that if you are, it is not enough to just be a BRACE participant. You have to be a member of the African Food Change Makers to be fully recognized as a change maker and to be able to enjoy all of the benefits that comes with being a member at African Food Change Makers. Hi, membership team.
Thank you, Patience.
All right, you're welcome.
Okay, can you confirm that you can hear me?
Yes, please, I can hear you.
All right, so practically you said all I have to say. So it's just like a repetition from my end. And a warm welcome to all our participants for today. I believe this is the final LIS week for this cohort, and congratulations to those that have made it thus far. And my name is Nosa Obano, and membership officer at African Food Chain Makers. I will start with my usual approach. I would like to know those of us who are on the call that are part of our membership community, or if I'm speaking to just the BRACE participants, let me see in the chat box. I would like to know who are my fellow chain makers, and I want to know those that are yet to become part of the community. So if you're a change maker, let me see in the chat box that I am a change maker. And for our potential change makers or members, let's see what is stopping you from becoming a change maker. Okay, thank you. And keep the engagement in the chat box coming. For those that are yet to become members, I will speak to that in the following slide. But for our change makers, I want to speak to how we can benefit more on our membership hub. And as you all know, AFC is open to all entrepreneurs across Africa. Presently, we have presence in over 48 African countries, and our membership reach is up to 46,000 plus entrepreneurs. So you have the opportunity to connect with over 6,000 members alongside other entrepreneurs in our community. So if you're a change maker and you have been connecting with other entrepreneurs, that is a good thing, and we want to encourage you to connect more. You don't know who your potential buyer is, who your potential client is. You find all those across the value chain in our community. So we provide access to strengthening your agribusiness and also helping your agribusiness to scale. We prepare your agribusiness to enter new and existing markets through our programs, which my colleague Patient have already spoken about. We implement programs on climate change, we implement programs on exporting, and we also implement programs that is gender focused on how we can leverage helping the gender or both male and female to leverage or utilize our resources that we show on the platform. Another thing we do at AFC is that we open our referrals to entrepreneurs who are seeking funding opportunities, speaking engagement, and exhibition opportunities. So we have a designated membership opportunity page where our members can access links to funding opportunity from financial support to capacity building opportunities, grant opportunities, speaking engagement, events they can attend to network with each other, and other opportunities on data report as well. Then I've spoken about our community members. You can reach out to other community members through your dashboard and through our membership community, including the WhatsApp, Telegram, Facebook, and LinkedIn social media group as well. Another thing AFC is keen on doing is also to enhance the visibility of our entrepreneurs. We do this through our social media platform and engagement, including the Facebook Live, Instagram Live, LinkedIn Live, and our social media pages as well. Just last week, we had this LinkedIn Live where we invited all our community members to share their experiences And I know for those that joined, that was a wonderful session. And that is something we continue to do in our community to spotlight our entrepreneurs. We have what we call the members of the month, where entrepreneurs who have done brilliantly well in their activities are showcased on our platform and across our social media as well. And to participate in such event opportunities, you can do that easily to your dashboard by applying to become our next social media personality as well. So for those that are yet to become members, I'll be speaking on how you can be a member of the community in just a few seconds. Next slide, please. All right, then. So for non-members yet or potential members of the community, what you have to do is easy and straight to the point. You just need to be familiar with our community, our AFC hub, our website, or our social media handles. So you need to follow us on Instagram, where you can receive updates about what we do in the agri-food space, and also have access to our website, which is www.afchub.org. Once you've done that, you'll be able to see on the landing page the link to join the community or the link to the marketplace. For already existing members, you always need to utilize your marketplace, which can upload your products on your dashboard and to reflect on the marketplace after going through approval from the membership team. I can see the link can be dropped. Yeah, thank you, team members. So for non-member on the call, kindly click on the link that have been dropped by my colleague to access the landing page where you can easily navigate and answer a few questions about your business and profile information to become a member in a few seconds. And once you've answered those questions, remember that you fill in questions that are very relevant to your business and they are accurate. This will help us streamline the kind of opportunities we share with you so you can benefit the most of all the membership benefits that we offer. Once that have been done, you click on the submit icon and you can also click on to subscribe to our newsletter so you can receive updates about our offerings as well. Once that have been done, you would receive a confirmation email and you have temporary access to your dashboard. Temporary in the sense that you will be able to see your dashboard, but you cannot, and I repeat, you cannot utilize all the membership features except your registration will be verified. And it usually takes 48 hours maximum for your registration to be verified by the admin hand. It means that the information I've kept in your or you've imputed in your registrations will be reviewed by the membership team to see if it fits into our criteria. Fitting into our criteria means that it meets these three criteria which I'm about to highlight. The first is that you should own an agri-business or you work in an agri-business that you can make top decisions about the business you work for. Second criteria is that the agribusiness that you own or that you work for should be in existence for at least 6 months before signing up to be a member of the community. And lastly is that the your agribusiness must have a social media presence or a website. This helps us to track the activities you are doing in the agri-food landscape and help us reach out to potential funders about our activities, share your initiative as well, and spotlight your activities in the agri-food space. Once you've met this criteria, you can be rest assured that we would verify you as a member. And upon verification, you have unlimited access to all the benefits that AFC has to offer to its entrepreneurs, including the marketplace, the visibility, the resource opportunities, and so on. So, having said that, I would like to engage in the chatbot and see those that have already become members. As you can see on the slide, this is the marketplace where entrepreneurs on the membership hub can easily upload their product and gain tractions for their business initiative, such as their product or services. If the marketplace is not restricted to only product, if you are a service provider as well, you can also upload a service for the global audience to see as well. So at this point, I would like to stop and hand over to Patience, and I'm available on the chat box for any relevant questions and feedback. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Nosa. Thank you. So if you are not a change maker yet, what are you waiting for? Click on the link that's been dropped in the chat box and ensure to register to become a change maker. It is not enough, like I've always said, it is not enough to just be a BRACE participant. You will get everything right and meaningful from the BRACE program and also the African Food Changemakers Network if you become a member. So please decide now and to become a changemaker. So quickly, participant sharing session. Let's see people that have gone through their module 6, and they will have 1 or 2 things to share. If you have gone through module 6, I see that a lot of people have downloaded their certificate. That means they actually went through module 6. A lot of people have downloaded their certificates. So if you have gone through module 6 and you would like to share with us maybe one key takeaway you got from module 6, please raise your hand and I'll ask you to unmute and share your key takeaway with us. So I'll just check the session to see if any hand is raised. Oh, Abdulhakim Salman. All right, I can see you. Please, I'm asking you to unmute and go ahead.
All right, thank you so much. My major takeaways from Module 6, it's the alarming rate at which policy is very, very needed to shape the future of climate smart agriculture in Africa before 2030. And this has to do with some statistics that I have come across, which indicated that 65% of uncultivated land are in Africa, and that 60% of the world's top 10 at risk of drought are also in Africa. So which indicates that we actually need certain policies that are actually going to drive these climate smart agricultural practices. And that climate smart agricultural practice is context specific. It depends on local, socioeconomic, and environmental change factors. So some of the policies are also linked, they interlap. And we have like 8 policies that shape them. A few of them include nationally determined contributors, climate smart agricultural framework, the Paris Climate Agreement, and also the Green Climate Fund. So I also have takeaways from climate smart agricultural practices and how it affects women. Also a very high statistic. It showed that 80% of people displaced by climate change are actually women and children. And also women only receive 0.2% of the climate finance for agricultural projects. So this also shows that funding is actually needed to assist women in to key into climate smart agricultural practices and also to assist them. These are my few takeaways. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. Thank you. And the fact that Abdulhakim has always been consistent in giving key takeaways, I think I should buy you a stick seat. All right, thank you so much. Thank you for sharing your thoughts from the module. So please, is there any other person? I'm sharing my screen, so it's difficult to see, but I'll try to check again. Okay, I'm not sure I'm seeing anybody. Okay. All right, thank you so much, Abdulhakim, for sharing your key takeaway from climate policy and shaping the ecosystem. Thank you so much. And this is an urge for you all that have not gone through Module 6 to go through Module 6. You really learn a lot from it. You get new, insight from Module 6, actually. So quickly, let's do our speakers presentation so we don't keep our esteemed speakers waiting. So for the first presenter for today, we have Osenaga Oroko. She's the president and CEO of SHEED Africa. Osenaga is the CEO of SHEED Africa, a forward-thinking non-profit sustainability and development organization focused on the actualization of poverty and hunger alleviation, quality education, gender equality, and climate action, which are SDG 1, 2, 4, 5, and 13 across Africa. She has 15 years of experience in promoting and implementing large-scale, multi-million-dollar sustainability and ESG initiatives across multiple sectors. especially in food and agribusiness sectors. As the former Chief Sustainability Officer for Africa Improved Foods, BV, and former Group Head of Corporate Responsibility and Sustainability for TGI Group, she has integrated sustainability thinking, doing and reporting across 11 African countries and impacted 3 million plus smallholder farmers. She holds degrees and certifications in sustainability leadership from Harvard University, accounting from Aberdeen Business School, UK, agribusiness management at Lagos Business School, sustainable development from Paul University, the Euclid, and finance from University of Benin. During her spare time, she's a life coach and mentor to about 50,000 youths across the globe. So with a loud ovation, even though we'll not be able to hear it because this is a virtual session, let's give a round of applause to Osenega as she takes over the virtual podium. Good afternoon.
Thank you. Thank you, Patience. Good afternoon. Can you hear me and can you see me?
I cannot see you, but I can hear you.
Uh-oh, I'm not sure why you cannot see me, but
it's looking like your video is on, but it's very dark.
Okay, I'm not sure why. Let's see. Okay, well, it shows that I'm using my camera. I'm not sure why we're having that issue, but if you can hear me, I think I'll just go ahead while I keep checking to understand what the issue is. But hello, everybody. I'm honored to address you today on a topic that's very urgent. At the same time, it's transformative. Big ups to African food change makers. Thank you for the great work that you're doing in the agribusiness space. Thank you for the work you are doing with agripreneurs across Africa. You continue to be an inspiration, your management, as well as the teams, people, partners, and the change makers that work with you and connect to the work you are doing. And thank you for once again addressing this topic. Well, it shows that I'm using my camera. I'm not sure why it's not showing, but it actually shows that my camera is on because I'm checking the settings for camera. It says using now. For microphone, it also says using now. I'm not sure. I'm not sure. Okay.
Okay, it looks like you have stopped the video
Yeah,
now.
I stopped it. Yeah, I stopped it to try to. Yeah, but I will just continue because of time, because I understand that we are live and we don't want to waste any time further. So I was saying that it's such a good thing to be here today to address the topic climate policy and shaping the ecosystem, a call to action. This, like I said, this topic is very urgent. At the same time, it's very transformative. And as the CEO and as the president of Shield Africa, and this is an organization that is dedicated to fostering resilience and sustainable development across our continent, I recognize the important role that each of you, irrespective of your area of business, plays in driving change within your communities and your industries. However, I understand also that there are significant challenges as well as potentials. But more on, I want us to look more at the potentials for further development, for further improvement, and even refinement in key areas. So, as a result of this, we'll be focusing on two of such key areas for development, improvement, and refinement. And those areas are climate policy, as well as climate and gender. So I have a very short presentation. Let me quickly try to share my screen. I really hope my screen comes up today. Okay. So you let me know if my screen has come up.
Not up yet.
All right. I think I have to try one more time. Okay, has it come up? I'm not able to.
Not yet.
No, I'm not sure what the problem is. Can you help me check this? So I'm having this issue with my video. Okay. This the presentation is also not coming up because of the same video issue. So I guess I would have to do an audio presentation today, which is
Okay,
not
well, if you can share with us on the same image, we can help you present it for you.
fantastic. Okay, let me do that while we speak. Who am I sending it to? Your team?
Yes,
The last.
Amaka. Yeah.
Okay, okay, good. Let me just do that. Okay, so let's try something. I'm thinking that probably the first speaker or the second speaker could go while I try to sort out all of this, if that's okay.
Okay, okay. It's fine then. I think the other speaker is also on the call, so I'll just check.
Okay,
It's
if
fine.
not, I think I have been able to now send my my document to Amaka. So Amaka, if you have it, you can just present and we go on. That's also possible. So just confirm if you have received it so you share.
It has not dropped yet.
Okay.
If it hasn't dropped yet, maybe we'll just call Inimbom while we try to settle this, and you can come after her, if that's fine.
Okay.
Thank you, ma'am. All right, so I'll share my screen again to quickly read the bio of the next speaker. And yeah. Okay. Yeah, so for the next speaker, we have a climate specialist. She's Inimbom Bassey, who is a seasoned climate change specialist with nearly a decade of experience working at the intersection of agriculture, environmental sustainability, and rural development. She has led and contributed to numerous climate resilience, climate policy, and gender-focused initiatives across Nigeria and Africa. Until recently, she served as the climate change and carbon market component co-lead for the USAID-funded policy support for economic growth projects implemented by Michigan State University and the Environmental and Economic Resource Center, EERC, where she was instrumental in advancing policy dialogues, developing climate-smart agricultural strategies, and empowering rural communities, particularly women and youth. Inimbom holds a master's degree in agricultural extension and rural development and has received certifications in climate governance, nature-based solutions, and carbon accounting, among others. She was named an Agri-Youth Champion by the Ban Ki-moon Center for Global Citizens in 2024, recognized as one of the top 50 most influential agribusiness women in Africa in 2024, and currently an ECO-SCI Gen Climate Research Scholar 2025, and a Mandela Washington Fellow 2025. Inimbo Bassey believes that Africa can feed itself and the world if empowered through robust climate policies, inclusive food system, and gender-sensitive programming. Our insights reflect our dedication to shaping an equitable, climate-resilient agricultural ecosystem that leaves no one behind. So if you are excited to have such a personality speak to us today on this very noble topic, please let's put our hands together in the comment section as I leave the virtual podium for Inimbo Bassey. Good afternoon, ma'am. Hi, Inimbo, good afternoon.
Hi, Patience. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. You're
How are you
welcome.
doing today?
I'm fine. How are you too?
I'm good.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for the introduction. I'm flattered. I want to say a very big thank you to the African Food Change Makers and the team putting this together. It's really an honor to be here. And worthy of mention is to the participants is that I am one of you. I was once a participant on this program, so I'm super excited to be facilitating a session with you today. And if you're excited to have me, I would like to see your response in the comment section because I'd like to know we are together. All right, I don't know, the comment section is not moving. Okay, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Mutala. Okay, thank you. It means everyone can hear me and we're together. Thank you, thank you, thank you so much. I like the warm welcome. I'm super excited to be here. Thank you so much. So today, oh wow. The responses I'm seeing are mind-blowing. Thank you so much. So I'll be talking to us on facilitating the session on climate policy and shaping the ecosystem. I was happy to hear the summary that one of us gave about the week 6 module and the things they learned. It means that you have actually learned a lot, and what we're going to be doing here would be more like summary. So for this session, I'll be speaking on 2 major talking points. That is the climate policy and climate with gender. Please, if you can see my screen, let me know. So I'll be sure that you can see my screen. Please, someone should unmute and let me know if my screen is visible. Hi, Patience. Could you please let me know if my screen is visible?
Your screen is visible.
Yes,
Okay,
we can see your screen. Please go on.
All right, thank you so much. So I'd like to start by asking, I know you just got to know about climate policy, but what comes to mind whenever you hear climate policy? What comes to your mind? I'd like to see in the comment section, but I'll go ahead because of time constraints to say that climate policies are simply the regulations, the strategies and action points that countries, organizations, and institutions put together to address climate change and its impacts. In other words, we can say that climate policies are simply response to impact of climate change. and are usually aimed to reduce greenhouse gas emission, to enhance climate resilience, promote sustainable management, support the transition to low carbon economy. From the summary one of us gave, I know that you've already been put through all of this. And in Africa, we have some countries that have already put up, they already have their climate policies in action, put together. Example of such country is Kenya, Benin Republic, Mauritius, Nigeria, Gabon, South Africa, Uganda, and Zambia. We also have other countries that are carrying out some actions to mitigate climate change, to adapt, to reduce their emissions, but they do not necessarily have a working document like the climate policy. Examples of such countries are Senegal, Rwanda, Morocco, among others. This does not negate the fact that there are still other countries that are also doing things to see how they can reduce their emission and contribute to sustainability. I gave a brief rundown of a few countries that have their climate policies. Like in Nigeria, they have the Climate Change Act, and they have the National Adaptation Strategy and Plan, Implementation Plan for Climate Change in Nigeria. They also have the updated NDC, and this cuts across other countries. Sometimes some countries call the same document a different name, but these climate policy, climate strategies, adaptation strategies, they are all aimed towards seeing that our countries, the different actors in the countries in our continent adapt favorably to climate change, and the impact of climate change is reduced in their businesses, in their economy. And as a business person, because I know that the participants on this call are value chain actors across in agriculture, across different value chains, you may want to ask how your business can benefit from this climate policy. Because I'd like to say that policies are made for people, by people. The only thing is policies are endorsed by authority, but then they affect the people. So if there is a climate policy, or maybe I should go a little bit more into this policy to just spotlight a few. For example, policies around deforestation. We have people whose livelihoods are dependent on forests. That if there are policies or laws to stop them from accessing these the trees, maybe the forest resources, it will affect their livelihood. So it means that when we have policies to stop them from having this access, livelihoods will be affected. The standard of living would be affected. So how then can we still encourage people to carry out this adaptation and then they are not being impacted adversely? So as a business person, as an agribusiness person, to be specific on this call, you need to understand the benefits you stand to gain if you actually, if you're carrying out activities that are climate adaptive. Away from building your own resilience and the resilience of your business, that when the changes are gross, you will not be gravely impacted. You have opportunities to have access to climate smart agricultural support. This comes in different forms. You as a business person, you can partner with governments, NGOs, and other CSOs to have access to trainings that are free of charge because your business is climate smart. And then you could have access to improved seed varieties like drought-resistant seeds at no cost, because with everything on ground and the impacts that is being felt in Africa, I know we already know that Africa has a high percentage of nature-dependent livelihoods. So with climate change, the way it's changing, it's impacting us differently. So if you're, there are also projects, what should I call it, subsidy? Subsidy is also part of it, but there are different aids that helps farmer adapt. And these aids are only accessible to businesses that are climate smart inclined. So you could also have access to funding and incentives. If I ask you to think of 5 businesses or 5 companies, 5 individuals that are in business that you know are having access to free funds, I'd like to call it free money. You would discover that 4 out of those 5 are businesses and individuals that are into climate smart production, processing, marketing, and every other value chain you can think of. So as a business person, if you incorporate climate initiatives into your business, it would help you have access to these funds. Because if you're applying for funds like this, there are questions you would be asked if you've ever gone through any of those guidelines. They want to be sure that you are doing certain things that are reducing the emissions, the carbon emission in the atmosphere. So if you have these strategies incorporated into your business, it helps you have access to grants, subsidies, green finance. Green finance, maybe I should just touch a bit on green finance. We know that we have the voluntary carbon market and the mandatory carbon market. For us in Africa, what is most relevant to us is the voluntary carbon market. This helps us as farmers, as people that are into agriculture and maybe energy, to have access to funds that are made available by polluters, higher polluters in most developed countries. If you're into climate smart business, it will also help you have market expansion and export readiness. As a business, as an agribusiness person, if you have ever tried to export a produce, or you know someone who has tried to export a produce, you know that it can be a lot of hassle. Even when you think that your produce is of high quality, there are things that are expected of you that most African producers do not meet. So if you incorporate climate smart technologies, adaptation strategies into your businesses, or even into your businesses, you can register for some certifications that would help you export your produce and your products without too much bottlenecks. If you're into climate smart agribusiness, your business will have a good reputation and impact. A lot of times, I want to believe in one of your module, you were told that some investors, some consumers are now very conscious of businesses or products that are well adapted. So that follow the ESG criteria. So over time, a few years from now, it might be a little bit very difficult for people in business who have not incorporated these things into their business to grow in business. So if you have prospect, if you look at your business, if you're looking into your business growing to become a global business and not just a business in your community, you should consider the possibility of incorporating climate smart ideas, initiatives into your business. And to do this, you have to align it with the climate policy in your country and Africa as a whole. I know that African group of negotiators experts are currently carrying out some activities on how to see towards seeing if we could have a centralized climate policy for Africa. But at the moment, we do not have a centralized climate policy, but you could try to reach through the climate policy in your country to know what is expected and the areas that are receiving. Let's move swiftly to climate and gender. When we hear of gender, what comes to our mind?
All right, I think Inibom, we cannot, oh, you're muted and we cannot see your screen anymore. I don't know.
Okay, so sorry about that. I think my network froze.
Oh, sorry about that.
I'd like to also know the point where you lost me.
So you were talking about funding and showing the screen. Okay, your screen is coming up. So yes, you were not the screen, not this as well. You still go to the next one. Yes. I think we're in the next one. You're not in slideshow, but I think I can say.
All right, thank you so much.
Yes, please. Please go ahead.
All right. So I'm picking up. So whenever we hear, like I was saying before, I don't know if you heard me, when most people hear of gender, what comes to mind is women. That we have pushed the narrative in a way that it's beginning to sound as if gender is synonymous to women, but that's not supposed to be the case. So in climate change and gender, if we are talking about gender consideration, we are simply saying gender. Okay, I'd like to say that gender simply is talking about the roles individuals play, maybe different sexes, the genders that are attached to different sexes as a norm in different society. I think we're Africans here, we can still say as a norm in a society. So this transcends to the things that are expected of an individual if you're a man, if you're a woman. But gender considerations doesn't just stop there. When we talk about gender and climate change, it goes beyond being a man, being a woman. It transcends into gender roles and the peculiar vulnerabilities. For example, in the agricultural sector, we have farmers who are probably visually impaired. We have farmers who are probably, they can't work, but then they are farmers. So when we are trying to have considerations, climate considerations, agricultural considerations, these people need to be considered. We shouldn't just say woman. So if we're pushing the narrative of women are most vulnerable, of course, research has shown that. Even a recent research I carried out, currently being reviewed for publication, it also showed that women are disproportionately affected. But away from that, even as we know that women are disproportionately affected, there are also men that are disproportionately affected depending on the peculiarities. So when we are talking about the climate adaptation and gender consideration, we need to pay attention to all these things, because I'm afraid that if we do not pay attention to this, we'll push the narrative in a way that a few years from now, it will become a problem. I've been involved in a project where funds were being disbursed to farmers in a particular community. It was like a resilience strategy. It was like aid to them. It was in northern Nigeria, some communities in northern Nigeria. So over time, we noticed that some families and households were having misunderstanding. Some were getting torn apart. the men were not taking responsibilities anymore. And when we looked into it, we started hearing reports that like some men were saying, oh, these women have money. These women are being given money. They now have money more than us. So why should we pay school fees? Why should we do this? Why should we do that? And it's becoming a problem. So the bulk of the work or of the funds in the family is gradually shifting to the shoulders of women. So if we do not have balance in this, it's going to bring about. And in climate change, when we want to give this consideration, there is need for us to look at who are the people most affected. It's not just to be stereotyped to say, okay, the moment I get here and the person is a woman, the person is most affected. There is need to look closely who are the people most affected. I can remember on a project, an agroforestry project where I spearheaded in Gombe State, Northeast Nigeria. We had a challenge. Should I call it a challenge? Or one of the lessons we learned in the course of that project was during the distribution of the trees, the seedlings to the beneficiaries. We had some persons clamoring to be given more. And what was their basis for wanting more? Because they were men. Some of them even told us, okay, why should a woman own a tree? But then if you now look at it, we're looking at agroforestry, we're looking at the farmers adopting agroforestry to build their resilience against climate change. And someone is coming out to say, because I am a man, I deserve to be given a tree over a woman who is actually a farmer and needs it. For those of us who are probably familiar with northeast Nigeria, Gombe State specifically, it's among the semi-arid and arid agroecological zone. So in that situation, because someone is a man and probably one of the leaders in the community, if you as a person, as an agribusiness person, or maybe as a manager now thinks, oh, because I need to have favor before this person, I need to give preference to this and give them this, it will affect the adaptation of the farmers there. You end up giving to people that do not need it, and the people that need it do not have access to it. So there is need for us to look at this and be sure that these are the people that are most vulnerable. These are the people that need it. And in gender studies, there's something they call gender sensitivity. Or you look at gender sensitivity is just saying, okay, who needs it? Who needs it most? Who is most affected? Then you prioritize them. There are times you need to look at gender equity. Gender equality most times is not always the best, because there are people that need some things more. If you give everyone equal, the same thing, they may not, their resilience may not be built equally. Let's say someone has 100 or probably a 60 and someone has a 20, and you're adding 20, giving 20 to each of them. The person that already has a 60 is already having 80. Meanwhile, the 20 is already having 40, which is still not even up to 50%. So we need to pay attention to this. Even as a business person, a manager in your business, you need to look at, okay, if you have employees, how can you help them to contribute to your business, to your vision optimally? They would have needs differently. So gender gaps and equality in climate change adaptation that we need to look into is unequal access to resources. Then differential impact on livelihoods. For example, when we have ocean rising sea level, who are the people most affected? So if we're going to come up with a strategy to helping people in such location, who are the people that should receive most benefits? I think we may need to consider people whose livelihoods are inclined to sea, like the fishermen and women, like the fish processors. We need to prioritize them to be sure that their needs are met at that time. They may all be in the same community, but their vulnerabilities are not the same. Even the conflicts that we keep hearing of in some countries about herders and farmers. If we're going to come up, if there's going to be policy to help us live peacefully, we need to look at the root cause of it. What is causing it? The herder needs grassland for their cattle. The farmer needs their crop. So we need to now know what each category needs and make it available. This way, it will help us adapt better. And then on equal access to education and training, in some of our countries, county, and states, we still have persons who believe that a man's education should be prioritized over a girl's education, while some believe that a girl's education should be prioritized over a boy's education, which is not supposed to be so. I'm seeing someone's hand. Mohammed, please go ahead. Was that
okay,
a
so
mistake?
there's going to be a question and answer time. So maybe you can just take your time and quickly conclude. Then we'll allow participants, that are raising their hands to ask questions. So you're not distracted at any point.
I wanted to be sure that it was not a comment. Thank you so much. So we need to prioritize this. And then we also have limited participation in decision making. If everyone, oh my God. Sorry about that. So if we have a couple of, if a decision is going to be made that affects both the man and the woman, the farmer and the herdsman, the trader, the middleman, and the producer, why do we now, when that such decision is going to be taken, why do most of us feel that men can actually take that decision without involving women? Meanwhile, they also have women in that sector, or women can take the decision without involving men, which is rare anyways. Or maybe because we have the visually impaired and we believe they shouldn't have a say. So if we are going to have better climate adaptation, there is need to get everyone involved in it. Worthy of mention is for people that believe, okay, men should have it, it's men's world, or women should have it, which is rare somehow. We need to understand that women have ways of bringing ripple effects to whatever they are involved in. On a project I worked on, we trained some farmers on biofertilizer production. We also trained them on the use of biogas, on the use of agricultural waste to produce biogas. Initially, when we went to that community, although we had our own plans and we had incorporated gender considerations into our plans from the word go, but when we got to the community, the first few meetings we had, like at entry level, there was no woman in that meeting. It was all men, and they said those were the community leaders. We had to make special requests for them to involve the women. The next time that women came, it was just 2 women with like 30 women in the meeting. But when we made them understand that on this project, we want both men, women, youth to be involved, and they started coming. When the training started, you will not believe that most of those men did not see through to the training and maybe adapted it. And most of those women, when it was not direct money transfer, they were discouraged. But the women were the ones who picked it up. And that project was very successful. 80 women, not just women, 80 individuals adopt and started that as a business. So when you're planning in your business, there is need for you to understand that women have their strength, men have their strength, and all this should be considered if your business would have to stand the test of time. With this, I'd like to just round off because our first speaker before would have to come up. Thank you so much for your time and your attention. I believe there will be room for questions if you have questions and contributions. So much.
All right, thank you so much, Inimbom. Thank you so much. So let's say thank you to Inimbom in the comment section. Let's say thank you, and if possible, drop something very key that she talked about and you learned. It's actually very important that we appreciate our speaker. So thank you so much, Inimbom. This is really insightful. So please, we'll allow the other speaker come up and present first, after which we'll have the question and answer. So for those of you that have questions, please, you have to hang on a little bit and let's have this the first speaker. Yes, she's supposed to be the first speaker, after which we can have the questions and the answer. So quickly, I'll call on Osenaga again. Hi, Mama, are you back on the call? Hi, Ma'am Osenaga, you on the call? Oh, maybe she's not able to speak. Can someone make her a co-host so she can speak?
Thank you. Thank you. Now I think I'm unmuted. Can you hear me?
Oh, yes, please, I can hear you.
And can you also see me? What I did to be able to save time was I had to switch to my phone because my people said here that it's there's an update that needs to be done on my system, so that may take some hours. But can you see me?
I can see you very well.
Amazing. Okay, so we'll go right to it. If you have my presentation, let's just have it.
I'll go ahead and share. Yes.
Okay, great. So everyone, very well done, and great insight from the first speaker. Thank you for all you do in the industry. Thank you for all you do in the sector. And it's my earnest desire that Africa truly gets to where it needs to be, because I think there's so much potential here. And there's so much that we can do when we work together and when we truly put in that commitment. So great commitment from the change makers on the platform today. I'm just going to wait for patients to put up our presentation, and in the next few minutes, I think we'll be done from here. Fantastic. So we'll be talking about climate policy and shaping the ecosystem. Let's go on. So climate policy, as you know, it serves as a blueprint for our collective response to escalating any kind of challenge that climate change poses. So if we really want to address certain climate challenges head on, I think the first place to start would be the place of climate policy. And that's why climate policy is really, really urgent. So just looking at the key points here, I think that in Africa, the stakes are very high, particularly because of the impact that climate change could have. Before I dropped off, I heard the first speaker say that we are fully a natural, let me use the word natural continent, where bulk of what we depend on is rain for us to truly be able to produce the food that we need. And so if climate change hits us hard, we're really going to be shattered, because there is no other alternative. There are many countries that, or in other continents, that are trying out one or two things, but we are still not as advanced as it should be. So that also shows why it's very urgent for us to try to start looking at solving many of the climate change issues through climate policy. So, one of the first points I had to put here was that climate change poses significant economic risks. So we see that with the WMO, the World Meteorological Organization, there are losses of up to 2 to 5% of GDP from many of the African countries. Okay, so that's already is something we need to start looking at. We need to start looking at the data, and we need to start understanding how we will have to be intentional from now with regards to climate change. Then I'm also very keen on adaptation, because that's one area that many African countries struggle with. Adaptation generally. It takes time for us to adjust to things. I'm not just an African. I think it's a general problem of man. So when there is an issue, whatever it is, we are not very quick to think of solutions. We're just allowing that issue to keep draining us until it gets to a point where we're completely drained. But an ideal response should be adaptation. So still looking at World Meteorological Organization's data, they found out that for us to really be able to adapt, okay, it's going to cost us roughly 30 to 50 billion USD over the next 10 years. And that is approximately 2 to 3% of the region of Africa's GDP. So that's a lot of money, okay? But I think that it's important for us to start looking at that in order for us to adapt to the fast changes that are happening with regards to climate change. And then still looking at the NDCs, I heard, I wrote down his name, Salman Abdul Hakim, when he was sharing on his key takeaways from, I think, your Model 6, and he touched on the Paris Agreement. So I just wanted to also mention that, as of 2019, about 49 out of 54 African countries, they've all had to ratify their nationally determined contributions under the Paris Agreement. And that just shows that, okay, for us to really be able to get climate change, address the issues of climate change, it's really urgent that many countries are beginning to, take this serious, face and try to make commitments to reduce greenhouse gas emissions, try to take measures to enhance resilience. So I also saw that I did a bit of reading on the ADB group, some of their publications, and I also saw that. Let's go to the next slide, please. So it just shows that it's now really urgent for us to start facing a climate policy. I think the next, yes, the key elements in the climate policy in Africa. I think one issue we are having also is investment needs. I always like to put data out, and that's why I put out there that over 3 trillion USD is required in just 5 years from now for us to be able to mitigate and eventually adapt to any kinds of climate changes that comes in. And these policies, they underscore the willingness of of these key players, all the industry players. For example, I heard Patience ask earlier, how many of you are here? What kind of oh no, it wasn't Patience, it was I think it's Nosa. I'm not sure if that's his name, but I heard him ask everyone, okay, what's your kind of sector? What do you belong to? But then he ended up by saying, irrespective of the role you play in the agricultural sector. So I think that there are many people here that play several roles, and many of us are leading the industry in different ways. But however, the implementation of these policies that we're looking at is hinged on the availability of quite a lot of things. And so we would look at those things as we go. But first of all, for us to really be able to get on it, their investment needs now, and this investment needs is huge. So we need to put that out there as a key element for climate policy in Africa. Then looking at national commitments, I also stated there that overview of African nations' climate goals and successes. So many African countries are beginning to take bold steps to address climate change, despite being the continent. For now, we are least affected by climate change, to be very honest. If we look at what's happening in Africa versus, let's say, some part of the US or some part of Australia, we are still least hit, but we are already making certain commitments. For example, a lot of African countries are making commitments to reduce emissions. They have made commitments to reduce emissions and, of course, transition to low carbon economies. And many people are taking several steps for adaptation, for resilience. Nations are focusing on building resilience. I heard the first speaker talk about trees, and a lot of people are resorting to tree planting. A lot of people are resorting to producing drought-resistant seed varieties and what have you. Many people are resorting to, producing varieties that will manage climate-related hazards, floods, drought, even heat waves. And all of these things, if not addressed, can really be severe. So it's good to see the commitment from national economies. Then I also mentioned that a lot of these efforts that we need to take, they are hinged on quite a lot of things. But key of those things would be, financial commitments. We're also looking at technical commitments. So financial commitment is huge because there is a huge funding gap. There's a huge funding gap. We already had stated earlier that Africa needs as much as $3 trillion USD in the next 5 years. So for us to be able to implement all the commitments that the African nations have committed, and for us to be able to achieve resilience. So in addition to the financial gap or the funding gap, there's a technical gap. There's a huge technical, and I would also say capacity gap. You may agree with me that we do not have as much climate conscious industries, climate conscious experts as we do in some parts of the world. So there is a need for us. We're just highlighting the urgency. There is a need for us to start, paying attention to how to build capacity, how to transfer technology, how to give technical assistance so that we can support, even push peer-to-peer learning, have a lot of learning events like what we have now. It's interesting to see that there are lots of brilliant people here who are doing their homework, who are reading, and are now more intentional about, introducing and integrating climate into, or rather environmental sustainability into their different operations, and ultimately into what will eventually happen in Nigeria and Africa at large. So it's important for us to continue to scale capacity building so that more people, young business or agripreneurs that come up understand and also integrate this. So we've looked at national commitments, and then of course we've also looked at the importance of us introducing or paying attention to financial, technical, even capacity building support. Let's go to the next slide, please. Okay, so now we are at climate and gender, and we really should talk about where it intersects. I also, before I dropped off, I think I also heard the other speaker talk about how that when we hear gender, what comes to our mind is women, but it's not necessarily women. When we hear gender equality or gender equity, as the case may be, it's not necessarily that we're talking about one sex. We're just saying that irrespective of your gender, but as far as you're in the industry, there should be utmost respect for both parties. No one should feel shortchanged. No one should feel, misaligned, or no one should feel like he or she is being taken for granted because of his or her gender. Everyone should feel like they are part of the community. Everyone should feel like they are part of something big. So that was very important, and that's important for me to further stress. But just looking at it more, we of course know that in a very large sense, if we understand how the agribusiness and agri sector has been working, to a very large extent, women have been marginalized in one way or the other. So women in African communities, up to 50% of the agricultural labor force, they still face restricted access to resources. And that's a fact, because there is already economic vulnerability. We see that female-headed households in poor countries, they lose an average of 8%. I was really shocked by that number, 8% more income whenever there's heat waves. And sometimes we even see that access to resources such as land, financing. I think before I came up, I heard the former speaker talk about even to the sharing of the climate, the project when they were sharing the trees. Somebody expected to have more trees because he's male. So that shows that to a very large extent, some resources are held back from women. And some of these issues like access to land could be as a result of inheritance issues. So women naturally may tell you that, oh, men are the ones who own the land. So a woman who, even if she wants to scale her business, right, she's not able to access land. Okay, she's not able to even access financing, because sometimes some of these women may ask them to bring a guarantor, and the woman may be a widow and she's not able to bring anybody. Maybe her child is not old enough to stand as a guarantor. And then some of them are facing really big cultural issues. She can meet a brother-in-law who says, oh, before I can go and stand as a guarantor for you, you must allow me marry you because my brother died and left you behind. So if I must stand for you, then I have to be your husband. And automatically that woman is losing all the hope available, because there's nothing else for her to turn to. So there is a lot of restriction. And that is an issue. So going on, looking at the economic impact, we see that, like I mentioned before, female-headed households, they lose up to 8% more income during heat waves, and up to 3% during floods, and representing a lot of billions, when we're looking at it in terms of losses. And one area that also gave me concern when I was looking at the intersection between climate and gender is the impact that climate change can have on the health of a woman, in agribusiness. For example, women, I realized that women are more susceptible to health issues that arise from climate change. One of them would be food insecurity. I remember I was on one of the sessions some months ago, and someone was asking how are women actually impacted by food insecurity. So, for example, when the burden of catering for the child is there, it's the woman who has to stay at home and cater for the child. When there's a member of the family who is sick, everyone would think that, logically speaking, it's the woman who has to stay at home and cater for the child. So because she's already constrained, and sometimes because of the burden of caregiving for family members and loved ones, she may naturally not be able to go out and cater for herself or other people. So when food insecurity as a result of climate change or climate challenges arise, you will see that the woman most times may be the first person to suffer it, because they will tell you that who not go, not know how far. Allow me to use that pidgin for those people who are not Nigerians. It means that if you are not somewhere, you may not know how things are. So what that means is, because the woman is not the one who goes out there to maybe try to fight for the food, she may be the last person to receive the food, because the person who goes out there somehow quickly eats, just gets there and is able to lay his hands on one meal, quickly eats, and then there's nothing left for the woman. And then beyond the food insecurity issue, I realized that even mental health challenges, because of extra or extreme let's say weather events, such as, even I got that from Carbon Brief. So you see that could also have an impact on the woman's health. Let's move to the next slide. Next slide, please. Okay, so what are the strategies for an inclusive climate policy, as we, taking time to understand the urgency for climate policy, and then we've also seen how all of it intersects with, with gender, climate change, and all of that. So what are the strategies for an inclusive climate policy. I think for me, the first one is to promote gender equity in decision making and policy formation. Like we agreed, it's not about women or men. It's about, adequate representation so that at least all gender, both gender have the same have enough voices that can represent them on the table. So even on the table for making decisions and formulating policies at the local level, in the communities, in the villages, at the state level, at the national level, at the regional level, at the continental level, and finally at the global level, there should be enough representation of both sexes so that there is adequate representation enough to help put the cases of each sexes on the table so that there is good policy to cover both. Okay, then I also think that we need to enhance women's access to land, financing, and all other kinds of resources. So we need to intentionally sit down to say, okay, we are in a continent that gives priority sometimes to male. So if I know that's arguable, but and it's not the case in all countries, but I'm speaking largely. Like for example, most of us will agree that where we come from, women don't inherit land. Okay, women don't inherit land. I don't know if that's the case in your own country or your own tribe, but in some people will tell you that women don't inherit land. So when that happens, what can the woman fall back to? So we must start to develop policies that help women have equitable access to land as much as men do. Women should also have equitable access to financing. The same thing to technology. I always am I'm always a big advocate for customized trainings for women. I have run projects in some interior parts of northern Nigeria where they will tell you, and in some other local communities where they will tell you the women in this place cannot come out. So are we going to take the trainings away because the women cannot come out of their houses? So what we had to do in some of those instances was that we had to develop trainings in such a way, and we had to have staff that the women were comfortable with. And these trainings were now taken to the women in the comfort of their homes. So when we are designing our trainings, this is for our NGOs, for our donor agencies, and our financing agencies, they have to be customized so that they can reach the women wherever they are, for capacity building. And then lastly, we must implement targeted health initiatives to mitigate all the kinds of challenges that accompany climate issues and that also affect women's health. And as I round up, I put a concluding statement on our conclusion slide. Next slide. I said that as we confront the realities of climate change, our policies have to be both comprehensive. That is, everybody has to understand the policy, and it has to be inclusive. It has to factor both genders. And when we integrate gender considerations into climate policy, we are not only addressing systemic inequalities, okay, but we are also harnessing the full potential of our communities to drive sustainable change. And so I'm urging every one of you, participants in the BRACE program, leaders in your different sectors or your different fields, to continue to champion policies at whatever level, okay? Continue to champion policies and practices that recognize and also address the unique challenges that women face and all genders, as a matter of fact, face in the context of climate change. Let's get to work and let's put these things into action. And together, I believe that we can shape an ecosystem that is resilient, that is equitable, and is thriving for all. Thank you all so much for your time. Happy to take any questions from here. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Senaga. Thank you so much, Ma. Thank you. Let's say thank you in the comment section while we mute participants to ask their questions. So let me stop sharing so I can see the people. Okay, so we have 4 hands raised. So I just want to leave it at 4 hands, please. Let's not have more than 4 hands so that we can take questions and leave the session for another one because our time is fast spent. So we have Raphael Owens, we have Grace Dixon, Tanko Musa, and Brian Mangeni. So I'll just start with Raphael Owens. Please just, I'll ask you to unmute. Please direct the question to the speaker that you want to answer your question. So we don't have it rowdy. Raphael Owens, please go ahead. Hi, Raphael. If you are speaking, we can't hear you.
Good afternoon, everybody.
Okay, yes, please go ahead.
Yeah, my question is, please, how will the men be included into this gender stuff? Because I've been having issue with it in several fora where I will try to ask the question that, is it for only women? They will shut me down in different fora. I want to see how the men will be included into this gender stuff of it. Thank you very much.
All right, Osenaga, do you want to go ahead?
Okay, first of all, I'm amazed by the passion in his voice. He wants to, so that's why I was laughing. I think we need to. That's why at a point I had to take a pause to reiterate or to try to stress the fact that we are not talking about men or women here. I know that there is, while we all agree that there are some disadvantages that women face, the issue of gender is not, I think both myself and the other speaker have stressed that it's not about men or women, it's really about equity for both sexes, for both gender, and adequate representation of both gender on the table for whatever it is we're discussing. I'm not happy that you've gone to platforms and you have been shut down. I don't know why, but I don't think that's good. But just to talk about how men, you asking how men can be involved. I think it's the same thing I've said. When we are at the table of policy making, when the people, the decision makers, the governments, the authorities that decide who sits on that table have to always factor the representation of both gender on the table, so that the concerns from male is brought on the table as well as the concerns from female, and then it can be, there must be gender sensitivity in the sense that there are women on the table, there are men on the table. That way nobody is cheated. So again, it's not about men on one side. Someone says I'm muted. Am I muted?
No, you're not muted. I can't hear you. You're not muted. I think it's the person's device. Please, you might have to go out and come back.
Okay. So it's not about men or women. It's about both representation. I hope I was able to answer that question. And great passion you have.
Thank you so much. Inibom, I can see you. Do you want to add anything before we go to the next speaker? Okay, so let's just quickly go to Tanko Musa. Please unmute and ask your question.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, please, I can hear you.
Oh yeah, thank you very much. Thank you so much for the presentation, and I think it was quite insightful for me, right? Hearing about all the policies that are already on ground and how you people are trying to shape the ecosystem itself, right? In terms of climate action and the rest. So my question goes this way, right? We all know that the top 100 companies in the world that are responsible for this carbon emission, right, are not in Africa, right? And the top 3 countries that are responsible for these climate effects, shocks, and stressors that we are facing right now are not also found in Africa, right? So what are some of these policies, right, that has been shaped in order to hold them responsible and to also make sure that they cut down on their emissions. I think it would be nice if we also see how they are playing their parts in terms of mitigating this effect of climate change that we are facing right now in Africa. So thank you very much. I look forward to hearing your response.
Thank you so much.
Okay, I think that, can you hear me?
Yes, please.
Okay, let me try to put on my video. Thank you. I wrote your name down, Tanko Musa. You are correct. You are very correct that most of the countries, as a matter of fact, that contribute to these emissions, they're not in Africa. But to talk about what kinds of policies exist, I think I can still refer to the Paris Agreement, and I think that's one platform where countries, companies were made to set those their NDCs to reduce the emissions. So that's one agreement I think is currently put in place to make sure that many of these countries are now more held responsible. I also want to raise I think it's the UN. It's called UNF something. It's called I think United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change. That's one convention that's held regularly to stabilize greenhouse concentrations in the atmosphere. And so what it does, that particular conference holds many of these companies or advanced countries responsible for these emissions. So I can point at these two policies at an international or global level, where I think, and then I think the COP, all of the COP conferences that we have, many of these countries, when they come there, they make commitments, and it can be very brutal if you attend some of these COP conferences. There could be fights if you are really in those meetings. There could be fights in some instances. Some people have to walk out. Some people are held and sanctioned. So they're actually there. They're actually there. So I've listed some of those ones, and I hope that we'll be able to find some more.
Okay.
Thank you so much. Oh, okay. Nimbo, please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you so much. To also add to what the second presenter said around the polluters, the question that Tango asked, what are the polluters in developed countries doing? So in the IPCC in specific, those in those developed countries, they are mandated to pay. So if you're a business person, there's a specific amount you pay. You have a cap, there is a cap. This cap means that you cannot pollute beyond that. But if your business produces carbon emissions beyond that, you are required to pay a certain amount of money. So that money that you pay is what they usually use in financing the voluntary carbon market, which is in Africa and other developing countries. So that is what, even as an individual, that is why if you notice in most developed countries, they don't have fleets of cars like what we have in African countries. They don't use it as a display of wealth, because the number of cars you have, you are being taxed. There are money, there are funds you need to pay, because each of those vehicles is emitting a certain amount of carbon. So these are ways that they pay for their emissions, and we can tap into it by investing into the voluntary carbon market. The first person asked, how can the men be involved? You can be involved by lending your voice. Most times when this gender talk comes, a lot of people are agitated. I believe that most times we should focus on the conversation and not the person. There's always this thing that most people will just get angry whenever gender conversations come up, that they start attacking the person of the speaker and not the conversation. So you should not let someone shut you up. And I know there are men, it's not absolutely, there are men that are into gender studies, but the thing is, everyone is pushing for women. But you should lend your voice, and parents too. It should start from the parents. I think I should mention that when you're training your child, as a father, as a mother, train both the boy and the girl to be a child, not because they belong to a certain gender. And there should be need for parents to should also give access to land and resources to both gender. I think that would help. Most men were boys who were shut up, and they grew up without knowing how to express themselves. So during conversations, they don't say their minds, they don't contribute to the conversations. So I think if we do this, it will also help in the men lending their voices. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you so much, Inimbom. Thank you so much. So just to add to the question on the companies emitting the carbon and all of that, you remember that we talked about the carbon market last week, where our speaker was talking to us what the what's the money that's available in the carbon market, and where do you think they are coming from? They are coming from some of these people that are violating, and then that are actually emitting, and all that. They have to pay for their emissions and all of those things. So that's where we have the carbon market and the carbon emission trading and all of that. Like Osenaga said, these things happen so much in COP, where people have to negotiate for their countries, people have to struggle for their countries, and a lot of arguments and all that. So it's now our own responsibility to hold our government, our policymakers, responsible for us to be able to negotiate on our behalf in these tables. Thank you so much. So Brian Mangeni, please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you so much. I will start by thanking the speakers, Madam Bassi, and the other name is so hard. Thank you so much for the presentation today. It's so insightful. And given that we had previous speakers were talking about policy, Jolene Dawson, we had on the we had a lengthy conversation on policy and also gender issues in relation to climate action. I want to just ask a question. One, we talk about climate action policies in every country, and there is a lot that is being publicized in media, on paper, but there is a disconnect between policy formulation and also the support of the policy to marginalized setups, whereby, yes, policies are being formulated and really being talked about at strategic level, but now when you come down to a common to a role setup where you get the real need of the policy implementation and policy support, we don't have support like finances. How can we address that issue? Whereby, yes, there is policy being done at a strategic level, but now at implementation stage where we have smallholder farmers, they are not being supported financially. How do we address the issue? Because there is a huge gap, more so in my country, Kenya. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you so much. Osenaga or Inimbom, please go in.
Okay, thank you so much, Patience. Mr. Brian, I agree with you that there is a disconnect between the policies and the real time implementation. It's actually a common problem we have in Africa. However, I'd like to say that there are funds. During your country's budget, there's usually most countries that have their climate policy and implementation plan. They usually budget for a certain fund during their annual budget. That is for adaptation. I think most African countries have budgets for adaptation. So, but there are things to be done. I think you may need, I don't know which country you are. You may need to connect, Kenya, okay, Kenya. You may need to connect with the Climate Change Council of your country. Like in Nigeria, in February, there was a meeting I attended that was organized by our NCCC. They talked about these funds, that these funds are there. You need to apply through them. So IPCC has made some of these funds available. You may need to apply through them. So you may, I think I'll advise you try to connect with the council involved in charge of that for your country. Away from that, as an individual and a company, you can apply for funds, grants, green finance. You just need to look out for organizations that are giving out such funds. Example is the GCF. So try to research on companies, organizations, and donors that are financing agricultural projects that are climate smart. Thank you so much. I believe that was helpful, but I'm available for further explanation if you need me to. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. Thank you. Our time is so fast spent. Okay, Joyce Vanda, I think that's the last question we have. Please kindly unmute and ask your question.
Thank you very much, and thanks to all our presenters. Mine is not a question, but a comment on gender issues, how to address the gender gap in the climate smart agriculture. So I wanted to add to the comment that the facilitator gave that it's also important to advocate for gender transformative approach, where both men and women are encouraged to work together.
You're muted. Hi, Joyce.
Can you hear me now? I don't know how I got myself muted.
It's fine, I can hear you.
Should I start again?
Just go ahead. We were hearing you to some point before.
Okay. Yeah, sure. So my comment really is adding to whatever initiatives we can put, trying to address the gender gaps. I thought we should also advocate for gender transformative approach, where men and women are encouraged to work together. So in whatever activities they have at their home or their farms, or businesses, they'll be working together. So in terms of learning or capacity building, it means both men and women will be empowered. So it will not only be a man. And in terms of managing the business, both men and women will be empowered. And when it comes to managing power, resources, decision making, it means they will be doing that together. So that minimizes the risk of having a woman left with nothing, or having a man owning everything that they have in the family or in the business. And because the gender transformative approach also encourages to include children, it means both male and female children will be encouraged to participate in whatever economic activities they have at their home. So if they have a business, it means even a girl child is supposed sometimes to be delegated to go and oversee the business activities, sometimes to go and manage the business activities, so that they have idea or knowledge on how the business is going. If it's to do with farming, there are new technologies that they need to learn. Both children will learn about them. In that way, both male and females will be empowered and no one will be left behind. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. Thank you. So let just quickly read from the comment section. So someone is saying, since Africa is not among the top conventional carbon emissions, can we advise our policymakers to develop special African policy outside the global policy? And really, that's actually why we are always doing all of these capacity buildings, these trainings, so that we become more empowered to be able to hold our policymakers responsible people to be able to become more informed, to be able to advise them, also suggest even in forums and different platforms to be able to say this and this is what we ought to do and all that. So that when you get to a stakeholder meeting tomorrow, you're not stranded, you're not oblivious of what is going on. You understand what the policy is, you understand what the role of the government is, the policymakers is, and really that's why one of the reasons why we are doing all of the things that we do with Brace, so that people get informed the more. And someone is saying, I think it's important to engage state and non-state actors. Oh, really? Within climate action space to develop a specific and suitable African climate policy, given our organic and natural dependable agribusiness activities. Really, I cannot agree less. Like, that's really important that we start doing all of these things. Do the costs that polluters pay truly reflect the impact of CO2 emissions? Are the standards and frameworks for CO2 emission compensation taking into account the effects of vulnerable populations, particularly in Africa? And that's actually why African leaders need to wake up. We all, in fact, not just the leaders, every one of us needs to wake up, so that when we go to the negotiation tables, we're going with power, we're going knowing our rights, knowing what we need to get that we are not getting. But if we do not go there with knowledge, and we're just being so shortchanged all the time. And that's actually why we need to start understanding some of these things, so that when we go to the negotiation table, we go with information and power. And oh, there are so many of them. I realized in your second call for base application, there was age capping. Okay, we're going to address this, please, later, so that we don't hit out of our time. And then someone is asking, please, how can you connect us with climate organization on financing? Inimbom, would you want to answer this? Please, how can you connect us with, are there organizations you may want to suggest for us on climate financing that people should really take note of or something?
Okay, thank you so much. In response to that question, I'll say that there are a couple of them, but you have to meet criteria. If you remember during my presentation, I said that most of these donors have things they look out for in your business. So for you to have access, you may, I can give you links to a couple of them, because it usually comes out maybe periodically. There will be call for this, they need agribusiness that are into this and that for them to finance. So it's for you to look out for such. You could just Google donors giving grants for this. It can come up. Another thing is to look out for climate adaptation in Africa. Climate adaptation in Africa, funds for climate adaptation in Africa. If you Google that, it would be helpful. And then from one organization, you may have access to another. But I have a few that I can share links with you. Maybe you can reach out to me on LinkedIn. I can share links with you. Then I'd also like to use this opportunity to also contribute to that question that someone said, okay, if our leaders can also have, we can have our own policies. I would like to say that climate policies are location specific. What they do, the global policies are only adapted. We adapt it based on our peculiarities. So it's not as if that is what we work with. That's why you hear domestication of climate policy. So they are location specific. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you so much, Inimbom. Thank you so much for everyone that have asked questions, and someone is asking for your LinkedIn contact. Maybe you can just drop it in the comment section or something. All right, so thank you so much. So this is where we end the speakers presentation for today. But before we allow our speakers go, like we always do, we always have photos with them in case we meet them somewhere. We're able to say, yes, you were in the same platform with me some time ago where we had conversation on climate policy. So please, let's quickly put on our videos and our best smiles as we have the group picture with our facilitators. So please, quickly, let's put on our videos and our best smiles, we're all supposed to be excited, right? Especially with the fact that today is the last live interactive session for Breeze. And some of you have even downloaded your certificate. I can see Chukuma Rosni. I like the way you're doing star. All right, thank you, everyone. Thanks for putting on your videos. Thank you. I know that my team members must have taken the shots. And oh yeah, even till the third slides, people are still putting on their videos, and this is really great. Thank you. Yeah, Catherine, I can see. All right, thank you so much. Thanks, everyone. Mr. Raphael, yeah, I see you. Thank you, everyone, for putting on your videos. And yeah, thank you so much to our speakers in Nimbombasi and Osenaga Oropo. Thank you so much for coming. Thank you for sharing deep insights on climate policy and shaping the ecosystem with us. We really do appreciate this. Thank you so much, and we hope to engage with you again in the future. We really do not take this for granted. Thank you so much. And you see the participants saying thank you in the comment section. We are really grateful for all of the insights that you have shared with us. And you know that we're continuing, so please don't drop off yet. For our participants, please don't drop off yet. I'll share my screen again, and we'll quickly want to, okay, before I share my screen, let's quickly launch the poll. You know, the poll is where we know what you think about the session, if it is interesting for you, if you do not like the session, if there is good management and all of that. We really need to know and hear from you. And so we're launching the poll in 1, 2, okay. Okay. All right, so if you're seeing the poll on your screen, please help us and fill and let us know what you think about our very beautiful speakers for today. Let us know what you think about their presentations and how well they have done today. So yeah, I see that some people have already started engaging the poll. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you so much. So I'm just going to leave it for a while for us to fill before we go ahead. Remember that we still have to announce the top scholars for last week. Are you excited in advance? If you think you're a top scholar, do this. All right, thank you so much. Oh, Friday, you're already doing that. You think you're a top scholar. That's really cool. Okay, yes, I see some people have already engaged the poll. We still need more people to engage so that we're able to make a very good judgment. So it's not a minority judgment, it becomes a holistic judgment if many people, fill the poll. So thank you so much. I have, okay, 1, 2, let me not go yet. Let's wait for a while and still get more people. I see that a lot of people are still trying to fill the poll, so that will not deny them the opportunity to fill this poll. Let's just leave the poll for a while and allow people to fill. But I see someone's hand raised. Maybe we can just let the person ask the question. Bila Nasidi, your hands were raised, but it's no longer raised. Has the question been answered? Okay, all right, thank you. All right, thank you so much. So it means that we don't have any hands raised, and oh, well, we have Jennifer. All right, please go ahead and speak while we allow people fill the poll. Jennifer?
Good afternoon, Ma.
All right, good afternoon.
Thank you so much for this wonderful section. It has been an insightful journey, and I'm grateful. And I would love to ask if we, the participants, can be given like
Sorry, I'm losing you, like your network is...
Tomorrow to complete our levels due to internet location. Yeah, Ma, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now. Yes, I can hear you now.
That is one of the challenges I've been encountering in the process of completing my modules. So I would love to ask if they can give me a space of, should I say, the participants that are here to complete their module section, like some time, if
Oh yes, yes.
2 days at most to come out.
Yes, yes. So
Thank you so much, ma'am.
we're actually coming to that. We are going to give a grace of maybe an additional 1 month for all of you that have not completed the session or the modules to go ahead and complete your modules and then get your certificate. Because I know that there are some people that have participated in the live interactive sessions, but they've not had time to go through the modules. So we're still going to give like some more time for you to complete your modules, and we're still going to be sending reminders to people to tell them to, you know, complete their modules. And when it's time for us to close the portal, we're going to let you know, so that if you have not done it, completed the modules yet, you would know when we are closing the portal. We're not just going to close it on you like that, right? All right, thank you. So yes, all right, thank you so much for filling the poll, everyone. And yes, thank you so much. Let me just end it now. Thank you. So quickly, Brian, please let me quickly announce our top scholars for today, then we can go back and have that conversation afterwards. I'll allow you to speak, but let's announce our top scholars for the week. Okay, so I'm guessing you all see my screen. Okay. So yes, so for our week 5 top scholars, okay. So we have these wonderful faces. If your face is there, give us a thumbs up in the comment section to say, yay, I made it to top scholars this week, right? So for week 5 top scholars, we have very wonderful people this time around. We're still going to be having our week 6 top scholars, but this time around, because we're not going to have live interactive session again, we're going to be sending all of the top scholars to your email as well as a WhatsApp platform, and we're also going to be posting all of you in our social media pages, right? So for this week, we have Murato Malachi from South Africa, in no particular order, right, as a top scholar for week 5. And then we have Ambassador Edidion Jackson, we have Beatrice Otieno from Kenya, we have A1 Demisi Degu, I saw her just now, I saw this face, right? From Ethiopia, we have Joey Obado from Kenya, Olumide Adekunle Buhari from Nigeria, Bill Clinton Otieno from Kenya, George Wambua Mutua from Kenya, we have Kauzi Cyprian from Uganda, Victory Jasper, Nigeria, Brian Mangeni, oh, Brian Mangeni from Kenya. We have Anajeku Victor Onyebuchi from Nigeria, Musa Garba, Nigeria, Martin Mugambi Muenda from Kenya, Sadatu Adamu from Nigeria, Yapo Ayodeji Olakunle from Nigeria, and we have Eugene Chukwuibe, Nigeria, and Abdul Kadri Lawasada from Nigeria. So let's put our hands together in the comment section. Let's celebrate the top scholars for week 5. Who knows, you may just be the next top scholar. So let us celebrate our top scholars for this week and say congratulations to them. So for all of you that made it to the top scholars for week 5, congratulations to you. And some of you have been consistent top scholars for the past few weeks, and that's really commendable. It means that you put in the work and then the sacrifice and the commitment as well. So we see you and we say congratulations. Thank you for all of your commitment. Thank you so much. So quickly, we want to do the portal walkthrough. So for portal walkthrough, what I would like us to do is to just raise your hand if you have questions. Please don't ask personal questions. What I mean by a personal question is, oh, my module is not working. If your module is not working, just reach out to any of the admins in the WhatsApp group, and then would rectify it for you. Most of you that have reached out to me, you can testify that I've always, responded to you, right? So if you have questions that has to do with your modules not working, you're not able to download your certificate, or there's something, please reach out to me or any of the admins in the comment section, and we'll be very glad to answer your questions. So if you have questions concerning the portal, please raise your hand, and then I'll ask you to unmute and ask your question. So Eugene, please go ahead. Eugene Kofi.
Yeah, thank you. A quick one. I would like to know if the open call for application is the same as the one we've completed. Thank you.
Yes, it's the same. This is for another batch. So if you've participated before, you're not to participate again. Just share it within your network for other people you think the program will be beneficial for, just as it has been of benefit to you. If you know anybody that the program is good for, please share with them and let them apply. Thank you. Brian, please go ahead. Brian, please go ahead.
Thank you so much, Ma. I'm so happy. I feel happy to be listed among the top scholars. I don't know what to say. I made it. Now, I had raised my hand before even the question from your side. My concern was this. One of the objectives that we meet on the portal is to connect an agripreneur in Kenya, Uganda, Nigeria, South Africa. Now, we didn't have time for breakup rooms where we can really interact as agripreneurs. Now the session is coming to an end. How are you going to consider that? That I need to connect to someone in Egypt, I need to connect to someone in, because I'm in large-scale coffee production, maybe I need to learn on the better strategies that they're applying in their farm or in their businesses. How are you going to ensure that we just don't listen from the instructors and also at the end of the session we go? Because we need to catch up again and see whether we are implementing this strategy that we have learned from the program. How are we going to catch up now that you didn't give us a better platform to really engage amongst ourselves as participants? That was my question, frankly.
Yes. All right. Thank you. Thank you so much for asking that question. And then this is the end of the live interactive session. It is not the end of the BRACE program. So for all of you that have participated, because we don't want people to cheat people. If you're not going to take the courses and graduate, you don't have any business interacting with other participants, right? So that we don't cheat people that have not participated. So this is not the end of the BRACE program. From after the completion of the LIS and everything, we're going to be migrating those that have graduated to the BRACE alumni network, where you're able to get to connect with a larger network from those that have passed out from the BRACE program before now. This is the third cohort. That means we have the first cohort and the second cohort that are already in the alumni group waiting to connect with all of you. And then part of the next steps, which I'm still going to talk about later, is a mentoring session that we're going to be having. So for the mentoring session, we're going to have value chain related conversations. So the people that you operate in the same value chain with will be in the same room with you, and then you will have like holistic conversation about challenges and all that. And then there will be a mentor that will be talking to all of you and all that. But that is for people that have graduated from the BRACE program. So you need to be able to graduate first before you can enjoy all of these other benefits that we have in store, right? Thank you so much, Brian. And Yahan Nasu, please go ahead. And then Joyce Banda, that will be the end. All right, thank you, Yahan Nasu, please go ahead. Yahanasu, I'm asking you to unmute and go ahead. Okay, if he's not there, Joyce Banda, please go ahead.
Yeah, I wanted to know, for some of us who did not manage to join the WhatsApp group because it was full, now that the live sessions are come to an end, how do we get connected? As my brother shared earlier. Yeah. I am not on the WhatsApp group. I tried to write emails to be added and stuff, or to be guided on what I should do, but I've not been assisted. So
I'm so sorry about that. I'm so sorry. Maybe she sent us another email because we actually decided to create a community when we noticed that the group that we set initially was not accommodating everybody. We created a community and later started sending the link to the community and all that. But then that's not an issue. For those that have graduated and all that, we're going to be sending you link to the Braze alumni platform where you'll be able to engage and all that. So this time around, you would be joining the Braze alumni platform, but that's only for those that have graduated. So it's only those that have downloaded their certificates who are going to be having all of these conversations with, all of the alumni conversations with. So thank you so much. We are going to be reaching out definitely. Please, Ismail okay, that's the last person. Please. If you have any other question, please reach out to us via the Braze email or the WhatsApp group. We'll be very glad to answer you. Ismail, please go ahead. Ismail, I'm asking you to unmute.
Okay, yes,
All right.
I've unmuted myself. Good day, all.
Yes.
It has really been a journey that's worth every step. I really enjoyed my learnings. I learned a lot. I gained a lot. And I mentioned something last week during the live interactive session. And what I mentioned was that this conversation is not something that should die like that. It's something that the fire should be kept burning. So I don't know if there's something like that in the.
Well, that's what I already talked about. I already talked about
You
the fact that
mentioned the
there's going to be
alumni.
a network.
That
Yes,
I think that what I'm trying to say is a little, maybe it might be a little different from the alumni, because I remembered when the doctor showed something that under the live interactive session last week, where he mentioned that it's not something that you get immediate gains for. So, okay, now directly to something. Now, the alumni association of the Braze, is it that there is usual conversations that is taking place, maybe daily, weekly, or whatever? How does it work? How does it?
Oh, our time is really fast spent, and then for all of you that would download your certificate and graduate from the Braze program, definitely we're going to reach out to you and all that. So it doesn't end here, actually. So I also talked about the fact that we're going to have mentoring sessions and all that. So please, let's not be faster than our shadow. We're still going to be relating them all. But then the essence of Braze program is that you're also able to learn, and then it's urging you and then driving you to look out for more knowledge and all that. It doesn't have to be in the Braze program. It can be somewhere. It can be you even creating, platforms like that and all that for people. I remember you were talking about Dr. Olufunsho's summary. It was one that
Yes.
did the session last week. So he was even talking about where you can create cooperative, where you can bring farmers together to be able to get all of these things. So this is to, raise your curiosity to what is obtainable for you, what you can do and all of that. It doesn't have to be Braze and all that. But then we have programs for you in front. Don't get it twisted. We actually have programs and then which will be unveiling. So thank you so much. Our time is really fast, friends. And Braze application is ongoing. Please share with your network. We'll share with you on email. We'll share with you in the WhatsApp group. Please share with your network when you see it, right? Share with people you think that the Braze program will be beneficial for, especially as you know that it has benefited you a lot. You also share with other people so that they can benefit from it as well. So what are the next steps? The most critical next step is that you complete your course if you have not done that, please. And only people that have completed their courses, that have downloaded their certificate, will be qualified for the technical phase. And the technical phase has to do with study visits, has to do with mentoring session. In fact, we'll be having a kind of M&E training very soon, and that will be only for people that have graduated. You know, we're having so much in store for you. So in the coming days, we'll be sending you emails if you have downloaded your certificate, which is very important, because if you did not download your certificate, this is the last you will hear. No, this is not the last you will hear from us. When we close the portal, it's the last you will hear from us. We're not going to be communicating with you again after portal closure. But if you have downloaded your certificate, we will still have so many to talk about. So please share your learnings on social media and tag us at African Food Changemakers or the _AFC Hub, and then look forward to our emails on the technical session. If you have graduated, please look forward to our email on the technical session. Technical session in this case has to do with study visit, has to do with mentoring session, has to do with the trainings that I just talked about. So if you have any issue or inquiry like you always do, please send us an email. No, the first thing is to send a DM to the admins on the WhatsApp group. And then if you're not getting response from there, you can send email, because it is easier to quickly get response in the WhatsApp group than, you know, sending emails and all that, because there are hundreds of emails coming in all the time. All right, thank you so much, everyone. Thank you. And this is where we call it a wrap for the Brace Life Interactive session for the 2025 batch 1. So thank you so much for all of you that have participated thus far. We do not take your participation for granted, and then we appreciate you so, so much. We hope to keep engaging even in the future. Thank you, everyone, and do have a good evening. Bye, everyone.